What is up, guys? The spring 2023 anime season is right around the corner. Shocking, I know. And unfortunately, the anime industry has not learned its lesson with the winter 2023 anime season and is releasing over 50 titles. Granted, like 3 of them are pretty much carryover delays from the winter season. So obviously the big hope for myself is that hopefully this time around we'll get a little bit of quality in that quantity. I think the biggest genre standout for this season is honestly romance. We have 18 total titles with romance tags on them. I would say probably only about 10 of them will be real romance rather than it being like a harem type of romance. We only have, I know I'm saying only, 7 isekai titles and 1 reincarnation, so that's good or bad depending on who you ask, but over 53 titles, I think that's a good ratio. And yes, we do have our 1 villainous isekai. We have to have 1 every single season. But I am here to give you guys my top 10 most excited shows of the spring 2023 anime season. As per usual, before you leave the video, make sure to go down below in the comment section. Let me know what the most exciting shows are for you for the season. Additionally, Otaku Spirit will be releasing our full analysis of the spring 2023 anime season in a podcast format, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, let me get into my top 10 most exciting shows of the spring 2023 anime season. Additionally, I'll be getting into my honorable mentions as well as my favorite of the returning shows. So let's jump right into it. Kicking off my list in no particular order, but I have to say this is probably easily my most exciting show of the next season, and that is oshinoko. I have been waiting for this show for a long time after everybody pointed out, oh yeah, by the way, this is from the creator of Kaguya-sama Love is War, and it is fantastic. So I'm like, sign me up. I've been mostly trying to keep myself pretty blind coming into this, kind of reading some of the early synopsis of it, which is pretty much about this guy that's a gynecologist. He really, really adores this 16-year-old idol named Ai Hoshino, and yes, she comes to him in his out in the sticks location, pregnant. And stuff happens. I'm not looking too much into it, but I'm super excited just based on the writer alone. I think the writer of Kaguya-sama Love is War is genius. No matter how long that series goes on, the jokes never get old, the writing never gets old. The tension, while yes, full of humor, has always been there, and I'm really excited to see what he'll do with a drama, mystery, psychological, supernatural series, honestly. And I'm really hoping it gets into the certain subjects that kind of surrounding the idol industry, such as, yes, everybody expects idols to be pure and untouched. What if one is touched? And what kind of stories it will get into around that subject, or if it's going to go a different direction. Either way, I'm super, super excited for the series. It already looks fantastic. Dogokobo, well, we've had issues in the past. Looks like they're stepping things up with this particular adaptation, and I cannot wait for it. I am super excited for it. Also, Daisuke Hiramaki is going to be doing the directorial work for it, which they've done Selection Project and Wataten. So they've done idol shows, which I think Selection Project was actually really good. But namely Wataten, that last episode, this person knows what they're doing, and so hopefully they make a really great show here. But yeah, Oshinoko, cannot be more excited. For my next show, I have Insomniacs After School. This one, I have heard a lot of good things about. It looks like a pure slice of life romance that, honestly, we don't get enough of. We usually have comedy in there or something else that's really driving the show forward, but this one looks like it's going to be a solid slice of life series that I could not be more excited for it. The PV already looks absolutely gorgeous. It essentially follows this guy who has a problem with insomnia. And as he's tasked with going to the school's astronomy observatory, he ends up running into this one girl who's pretty popular, but at the same time, she has a similar issue as his. And it's kind of the two of them finding this place to hide away together, and you would think just kind of finding some sleep there, but they slowly grow to bond between each other. And like I said, it already looks fantastic. The PV looks fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to a solid slice of life romance that I can sink my teeth into. For my next one I have is Heavenly Delusion. This one, the PV absolutely sold me. It looks amazing. It looks weird, it looks off the wall, and that's the stuff that I eat up. This show looks like a mishmash with like Akira and From the New World and just post-apocalyptic, all this stuff kind of zeroed into one, and it looks so weird. It looks like the characters are going to be put through some stuff. It sort of has a similar setup as something like Promised Neverland, where you have like this kind of area that's sectioned off and these children are being raised by robots, and outside of it is ruins. But in this one, unlike Promised Neverland, The area outside of this sectioned off area is just a desolate wasteland, and it's inhabited by these powerful supernatural beings. And it's these characters exploring this world. And I've always been in love with this idea of exploring an apocalyptic wasteland. And again, what the PV shows me is things are going to get super weird, and I just cannot wait for it. For next one I have is Skip to Loafers, or Skip and Loafers. This one was a huge shock for me. This is actually a PA Works title, and based on the art style, I would never have guessed. Now, granted, they've done things like Eccentric Family that's more of a flatter style to it, not photorealistic with a ton of filters on it, but this one is similar to Insomniacs After School, is kind of grabbing me on the idea that it being so slice of life romance focused, while it does have comedy in it as well. It's essentially a country bumpkin that is moving to Tokyo to go to high school, and so you do have that fish out of water aspect. She's got these great ambitions, what she's focusing on for her studies, and she eventually runs into this boy that is kind of the opposite of her. He's very laid back and very chill, and so I'm very curious to see these two characters that kind of see their future differently coming together and maybe finding a middle ground in their relationship. A really exciting thing about this particular title is that the director and series composition writer did Natsume's Book of Friends, and I absolutely love Natsume's Book of Friends, so that's a nice big up for me. I'm kind of mixed on the overall style of it, but I am definitely excited for it, and I'm excited to see what PA Works does with this title. Moving on, probably my second most excited show of the spring 2023 anime season, don't judge me, is Idolmaster Cinderella Girls U149. I could not be more excited about this show. There's two aspects that really have me excited for the series. One, I really love Cinderella Girls. That series got me emotional. I was so driven by the characters. And yes, obviously, these characters are from that series. It's a different group. It's a group that is all idols that are under 149 centimeters tall. And yes, the other thing that has me excited for this is the team itself. We have Cygames Pictures, which is known for doing some really amazing animation. They have a lot of budget. But additionally, we have the director that did Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation, which, based on me reading through the novel series, I think he did a really incredible job on it. I love my idols. I really enjoy a solid idol show, and it has great characters to go along with it, which it already has a really great cast of voice actresses as well. I cannot wait for the series to come out, and I'm looking forward to it. For our next one we have is What God Does in a World Without Gods. Now, this is an odd one. This is one of those ones where I'm hesitant. I'm slightly hesitant just because the PV is half and half for me. Half of it is really just kind of showing how terrible this world is, but the other half is showing me, man, this could be really, really entertaining. It essentially follows this cult leader who at some point gets pretty much sacrificed by his cult, and he wakens up in a new world. Now, in this new world, there's no gods there, and the government itself kind of chooses who dies and who lives. Well, at some point, he gets caught up in trying to save one of his friends, and he's nearly dying, and he calls out to the goddess of his previous life, and she shows up, and she's really weird. She is really, really weird, and like I said, I think my enjoyment of the show is going to really rely heavily on how much I like this lady, because she looks weird, and she looks crazy, a little psychotic, and I think that could add in some really great humor. But again, this is kind of the one in my entire list where I'm like, I'm a little bit hesitant on it. But at the same time, I'm still excited for it. Hopefully it turns out to be awesome. For my next one we have is another romance, but gosh dang, if this season isn't just full of them and they all have some sort of promise in them. But yes, Loving Yamada at level 999. This is a show that I think the first time I heard about it, I wasn't like extremely excited about it, but after watching the PV, I think my focus is turning more on the idea that I have a lot of vibes of Recovery of an MMO Junkie, and that series I absolutely loved, but essentially the idea of people finding romance in a video game, and that sort of bleeding into the reality of the world itself. And yes, it's kind of the idea we have here. This girl was playing an MMO with her boyfriend, she broke up with her boyfriend, she was super mad, and then at some point she runs into this guy and falls in love with him. And they kind of start meeting each other outside of the game itself, and see if something blossoms there. But either way, I'm already liking the style of it itself. So far, based on the PV, I like how the video game itself is kind of being incorporated. It's got a nice style to it, and I'm hoping that kind of blends well together because it's a lot of relatability in there for me personally, having played a lot of MMO in my past. So either way, it looks great. I think my only kind of hesitation is I hope that the main guy isn't annoying. I don't know. Sometimes that type of character can get really annoying, like take a hint type of character. So we'll see. But it's being done by Madhouse, so it already looks really fantastic, and I cannot wait for it. The director worked on My Love Story, Nana, and Chihaya Furu, so a really fantastic director. And the series competition is being done by the one that did Kaguya-sama Love is War, so again, another fantastic team working on this one. For next one we have is A Galaxy Next Door. Now this is the one that's, I can see it being amazing, but I can also see it falling apart. So I'm not going to give myself 100% I'm full in on this series, but so far, based on what I'm seeing, there's some major promise here. It's by the creator of Sweetness and Lightning, so if you like that series, it's the same creator here. But essentially about a guy who loses his parents, and he's been trying to take care of his younger siblings, working on his manga and everything, and at some point, he's at the end of his wits, and this girl shows up. And she has been taking care of everything, helping him out with his work and everything, and additionally, she claims that they are engaged to be married. So, question mark? Big question mark? There's some hints in there that of otherworldly and all this other stuff, and the idea of the galaxy next door. I don't know if she's going to be an alien or whatnot, but she's gorgeous, and it seems like it's one of those stories where it's somebody that comes in there and is the right person at the right time. And I think that's where I can probably really fall in love with this show, is this idea of somebody being at the end of their wits, unable to turn to anybody, and then having that one person that steps forward and is able to bring him out of that darkness. And I'm hoping that's going to be a lot of the focus, and if it does that just perfectly, I think I'm going to really love it. All right, let's get away from romance. I know the people that hate romance is getting really annoyed right now, but let's get into some edgy stuff. We have Dead Mount Death Play. This show, I think at first glance, I was like, yeah, this is super edgy. I'm going to walk away from this. But then I seen the creator. The creator is Ryogo Narita, which, yes, is the creator behind Durarara and Bakano. And that has me really, really excited. Now, there is a big caveat to this particular show, and that's the fact that Geek Toys is animating it. And I have had no good luck with Geek Toys. So there's my only real hesitation. I think the PV so far looks good. It does have some CGI, but the CGI is really well blended in. The concern is that what's going to be outside of that PV? What is the animation going to be like outside of that PV? And that's my big concern, because again, Geek Toys is not a good studio. But my hope is that if they have this really great writer behind it, it's got a good budget, and they'll do a good job of scheduling. Again, I'm not going to put my hopes up. I'm going to keep my hopes down really low, but at the same time, I think it has an opportunity here. It's essentially about this person that is taking down this big evil corpse necromancer. At some point, the necromancer casts this reincarnation spell on him, shoots him to another world, which looks like our modern times Japan. And it looks as if in this new world, there is still this fantasy element there, and possibly running into some other people or whatnot that might have been moved into this new world or whatnot. But either way, like I said, just based on the writer itself, I'm really excited. But again, I'm keeping my expectations in check. And for my last one I have is My Clueless First Friend. My gosh, the first time I seen that this was getting adapted, I looked into it and I got super excited. This show, based on the PV, looks super, super cute, and I cannot wait for it. It essentially is about this girl who's always bullied. She's called a Shinigami. And at some point, this classmate shows up, and he is absolutely excited by her presence. He says, "Oh my gosh, you're a Shinigami?" And he quickly becomes her friend, pulling her out of the darkness that she's kind of in, and always engaging with her. And obviously, she's very embarrassed, she's very shy, she's not used to this interaction. Now, the interesting thing is, when I watch the PV, it sort of indicates something else. It indicates another story along with this cutesy aspect about this boy being super ganky and pulling this girl out of her darkness, pulling her away from all the bullying that she's been facing, because it's a daily occurrence. Everybody's constantly bullying her. It kind of indicates that he's a little bit ditz in the idea that he believes that she's literally a Shinigami, a death god. And I think what it's going to get into is this idea of him losing somebody, which looks like it's his father. He's lost somebody, and I think he believes that she can bring him back. And if that's the case, this is going to get very, very heartbreaking at some point. But my initial draw into the show was just that cute aspect of somebody pulling somebody out of darkness, pulling somebody out of being bullied. And I think that could be a really cute story. Additionally, the girl is actually voiced by the seiyuu that does Roxy Magurdia. And so for me personally, yes, Roxy, that's an instant sell for me. That was an added bonus, but I cannot wait for it. My Clueless First Friend looks super cute. Going into my honorable mentions, I have Hell's Paradise, which is being done by MAPPA. It's going to be the next super action MAPPA animated series that I'm sure a lot of people are going to be hyping up. I think it's already one of the most popular shows for the next season, and it's a given because, again, we're talking about MAPPA here and crazy violence and demons and action. But I haven't really seen anything in the synopsis that really has me engaged. It just really seems like a convict going to get this elixir of life and fighting a bunch of people. So we'll see if it does something cool. But yes, the art and the animation already looks really incredible. For my next honorable mention, this is one that just came out of nowhere. I have no context whatsoever to this show. But yes, Magical Destroyers. This show looks weird. It kind of reminds me of Rumble Garandal, with that idea of this world having otaku culture being ripped from it, and this group of people trying to fight back to reclaim it. And it's this guy that's a super otaku with his 3 magical girls that are fighting. And it's just, it looks violent, it looks dark, and it looks really, really weird. It looks really weird. The interesting thing is that, yes, it's originally created by Jun Inagawa, who apparently is an underground artist and musician, which could possibly add a little bit of mix of music to storytelling element, which I'm curious about. But additionally, the writer is pinned as Daishiro Tanimura, which of course wrote Gargantua and the Virtuous Planet alongside Jin Urobuchi, the light novel. So we'll see where it goes from there. But so far, like I said, it's an original by Biberi Animation Studio. Very curious where this one goes. The PV looks absolutely insane, but we'll see. I'm also excited for My Home Hero. That's kind of one of those ones where when I watch the PV, I'm like, this could be either really, really good or really, really crappy. The sad thing is this is actually created by the creator behind I'm Standing on a Million Lives. And honestly, with I'm Standing on a Million Lives, when it got into like more violent and things about questioning morals, they didn't do a good job. So it makes me really curious if they can do something like this that's more grounded in reality. But sign me up for any thriller. If there's a thriller, I want to know about it. I want to jump in. But essentially a guy who is trying to protect his daughter from this mob guy that killed his past girlfriends, and he kills them, and then he's trying to cover up those murders, and the Yakuza group comes after him. So we'll see how that one goes. I'm also excited for Taku Elf. It just looks goofy. It kind of reminds me of Inori Konkonkoi Raha with this shut-in elf inside the shrine that's just into Taku stuff. The Dangers in My Heart. This one, the PV has me raising a bunch of question marks, and I'm really curious if I'm drawing too many conclusions, but this idea, this guy who's like, has a lot of dark fantasies in his mind about his classmates, and at some point he meets this really popular girl, and she has her own secrets. Really curious where that goes. And that's it. And of course, I'm really excited for a lot of the returners. Of course, Gundam, The Witch of Mercury. My gosh, I could not be more excited. So what, to high five anybody? It just left on a point where I'm like, I really want to know what's happening next. Ranking of Kings, The Treasure Chest of Courage. My gosh, give me more Boji. I cannot wait for that one. I'm really curious what direction it takes it. So Ancient Magus' Bride, of course, the 2nd season. I'm super excited for that. Even though it is a different studio than Wit Studio, I think they did a pretty decent job on the OVAs, but more of that world. I'll eat up all of it. I just love the world building in that series. Konosuba, yes, an explosion on this wonderful world. Mega Man, give me. I want more Mega Man. I'm super excited for it. I cannot wait. Yes, more Dr. Stone, New World. I still need to watch the OVA, but I just, every bit of Dr. Stone just seems to work for me. It's not my favorite series ever, but gosh, do I love, and I'm entertained by every single episode. Yes, Tokyo Mew Mew Mew. Pure nostalgia for me. I love it. I don't sell anybody on it. I don't tell anybody to go out of their way for it. I just love it because it was just a series from a long time ago that I just had a lot of memories with. Come on, Bear Punch. Yes, I'm excited for that one. It's just a dumb, cutesy show, and I want more of it. And finally, yes, Demon Slayer, Swordsmith arc. Hopefully, I'm really hoping, because honestly, besides the amazing animation of the 2nd season, it was a huge letdown for me, story-wise, and I'm hoping the Swordsmith arc kind of brings it back for me and re-sparks my love from it, because I really love the 1st season. So we'll see, though. But that's it. That's my top 10 most exciting shows of the spring 2023 anime season. Like I said before, be on the lookout for our podcast that will come out. We'll have a full analysis of every single show of the season. It's about almost 3 hours worth of content. If you're looking to get a full synopsis, who's working on each project, what studio's working on it, where you could possibly see it streamed, all that stuff is covered in that podcast. It's a major breakdown of every single show. Additionally, I will be doing first impressions of every single one of these shows, so if you don't have time to watch all this stuff and figure out what's good or not, just stay tuned to the channel, and I'll be doing first impressions of every single one of them, giving you a breakdown of what happens in the show itself, give you some visual to look at, and my thoughts on it overall. And again, before you leave, make sure to go down below and go to the comments and let me know what you're most excited for the spring 2023 anime season. Additionally, if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top list. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support the channel more, I greatly appreciate if you consider supporting us on Patreon, our tips link, our super thanks, and our membership button down below. I greatly appreciate everybody that supports the channel. It's thanks to your guys' support that the channel keeps going. With that said, y'all take care.